What's up guys, Shane aka Musty Yeti here. In today's video we're going to be discussing and installing some parts from Midwest Industries for my IWI Tavor. Now if you guys caught my last video where I debuted the Tavor, I talked about some shortcomings with this specific rifle. If you guys want to check out that video, go ahead and click the annotation down here or a link in the description below if you want to see it. I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but I will just do a quick recap. One issue was the gas shooting into your eyeball through the factory ejection port cover. The other was the really low top Picatinny rail piece that makes it really hard to get a good sight alignment, sight picture with your iron sights or a red dot if you have one. And the last one was more of a personal preference of mine. Because this rifle is so short, I feel the need to have some sort of AFG or VG at the end to help really get a good grip on this thing. So let's just go ahead and dive into the parts. You guys can see what I picked up to address these issues. Alright guys, so after shooting the Tavor for the first time and finding those shortcomings, I immediately hit up Midwest Industries because they seem to be the leader in aftermarket parts for the IWI Tavor. They were gracious enough to send me out these few parts for testing and review. So the parts that we have here are the Midwest Industries Tavor ejection port cover, the Midwest Industries riser rail, and the Midwest Industries Tavor handguard that is m-lok compatible. Alright guys, so in the rest of the video I'm going to be covering each part individually and also showing you how to install them individually. So if you guys are watching this video and you want to just learn about the ejection port cover and how it installs, go ahead and click this time. If you guys are watching this video for the riser rail, you want to learn more about it and how it installs, go ahead and click this time. And if you guys are here for this handguard and you want to learn how it installs, go ahead and click the time you see here. Before we get started on each individual part, guys, I have to say that these parts are sold at a great price and can easily be installed by anybody out there who's looking to customize and improve upon their IWI Tavor. So let's go ahead and jump into the first part and get this thing started. Alright, to limit the issue of gas blowing into your eye, we went ahead and went with the Midwest Industries ejection port cover. Now there isn't a whole lot to cover here, but what this piece does is seal off the factory plastic port door to stop gas from shooting out and hitting you in your eyeball. It does sport a full-size backplate and can be installed on either the left or right side. This piece only costs $34.95 and is constructed of 6061 aluminum and hard coat anodized. And like most things Midwest Industries, it is 100% made right here in the USA and does come with a lifetime warranty. Now let's just go ahead and get in the install of this thing. In the packaging, they do include instructions on how to install this thing. I'm going to go and read them off, and if I can remember to, I'm going to annotate them in order down here so you just have them as a reference. Number one is make sure your rifle is unloaded and pointed in a safe direction. Not only are we unloaded, but we went ahead and removed the bolt just to be safe. It's just easier that way. And just for those of you who are curious, you're just going to pop this captive pin out this direction. The butt pad flops open. You just go ahead and pull it out. 2, repeat step 1. 3, refer to your owner's manual to field strip, remove the standard port door cover. 4, install the backing plate arrows toward the muzzle end of the rifle. 5, hinge the top edge into the groove and then the bottom. And then 6, set the outer plate on and attach with provided screws you see here. So not only do they give you instructions, they also give you the Allen wrench to install the screws as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do as best I can here with the tripod between me and the Tavor, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to bump it. So what you're going to do here is you're going to take your screwdriver, you're going to try to wedge this thing up, which I don't know how easy it is going to be to do. Okay, there we go. And then you're just going to grab a pair of pliers here and just going to pull this sucker straight forward. So let's see what happens. Alright, there it goes. So that is now out. Let's get this centered up again. Next is going to be removing this back plate you see here. And in order to get this piece out, I think you can just push it through. Let's see here. I haven't done this before, so oh, maybe not. Let's see what we got here. Don't want to break anything now, do we? Let's take a look off camera here real quick. Alright guys, that was pretty simple. Just had to do it off camera. Just had to take this and just kind of play with it and wiggle it, and it finally just popped in and popped out. So now we have no backing plate there. So now we're going to take our Midwest Industries ejection port cover. I'm going to go ahead and remove those screws. Let me just do it off camera because it's quicker. Alright guys, so we went ahead and separated out the pieces. As you can see, there's the backing plate. It says muzzle device or muzzle and an arrow pointing that direction, so we know we're going to install it that way. So we're on to step 4 and step 5. Install the backing plate with the arrow toward the muzzle end of the rifle. Number 5, hinge the top edge into the groove and then do the bottom edge. So let's see how well we can do this on camera here. So I'm just going to go ahead and finagle this in here and do the top edge like they said. And then the bottom edge, I think we're in. Now let's see, let's try that again. Come on, you mother. Alright, there we go. So we're in, and now we're going to install this. I guess, is it up to us to decide what way we want Midwest Industries to go? Well, let's do it that way. Install the included set screws here. You probably should use Loctite, but I always end up doing that later, not on camera. So it looks like installing that backplate was maybe a tad tricky, but nothing the average person couldn't handle. Tighten these down by hand, don't go crazy as usual. And I think that's all she wrote for the Midwest Industries ejection port cover. So as you can see, it's a really easy install. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next part. Alright, to tackle the problem of the low Picatinny rail, we picked up the Midwest Industries riser rail. Now I'm sure you guys are aware of other kinds of risers, ones that replace the entire factory top Picatinny rail section. I decided on just the riser for a few reasons. One reason is most of the replacement top rails are much shorter than the factory top rail, which is already short enough. For me, it seems pointless to install backup sights on such a short sight radius. On top of that, the riser allows you to maintain your factory backup iron sights that come included with the rifle. That's going to save you money from having to buy extra backup sights when the rifle comes with it installed already. The other reason I went with the simple riser is how quick and easily it can be installed. Another big positive in going with the riser over the replacement rail is cost. This piece only costs $49.95 and the full replacement rails can be over $100. That's $50 that can be used on other parts. This part raises your Picatinny rail about a half an inch to more resemble that of an AR-15 when looking through your backup sights or an optic. When this piece is installed, we're going to have more of a comfortable cheek weld, and it is T-marked for adding accessories. Like the ejection port, it is constructed as 6061 aluminum. It is hard cone anodized. It's constructed right here in the USA, and it has a lifetime warranty just like everything else. So now let's get into the very complicated task of installing this sucker. Now I've taken this actually on and off quite a few times because I already own a red dot for it, this fine piece right here from Vortex. But so I've taken it on and off, and the best way to install this thing for me was installing it as far back as I possibly could, while not interfering with the, like I said before, the backup iron sights, so I can still use them. So I'm just loosening the screws on this right now real quick. Alright, so all we're going to do is we're going to come in here. I guess I should try to stand this up here. All we're going to do is we're going to come right in here. So we know that this sucker is going to clear that Picatinny rail, so we're going to put it down right there. I'm going to double check it doesn't interfere, and it is as close as it can possibly be. Just take a simple flathead here. I guess I should focus this, huh? So as you can see, I don't know if it was blurry before, but it just barely clears, which is good enough for me. Just going to tighten this down. Now these screws do not come with Loctite, so you might want to add that. Again, I'll do all that stuff later because I just don't want to mess with it at this point. I'm going to slide this back, install the front screw here. Go hand tight again, nothing crazy. And I believe that is it. She's all installed and ready to go. And as you can see, it raises it up just half an inch where it's going to be more like your common AR-15. Let's go on and move on to the last part, the handguard. Alright, lastly, to help me handle this short bullpup, we have the Midwest Industries Tavor handguard that is m-lok compatible. This rail is being installed simply to aid in me getting a more positive grip on this rifle. I'm sure most of you are aware of m-lok, but for those of you who aren't, it's a mounting system designed by Magpul which allows you to directly mount accessories to your rail. In that way, it is similar to Keymod, however m-lok is much easier to machine, which should keep cost of rails down. Between being designed and backed by Magpul and it being cheaper to produce, it's going to be a rail worth taking a look at if you're interested in some sort of aftermarket handguard. So the Midwest Industries m-lok handguard is a direct replacement for the factory plastic handguard. As you'll see in a second, it really can't be any easier to install. They do ship this handguard out with a 5-slot m-lok polymer rail piece from Magpul, so that's cool. You can install that anywhere on the rail and install AFG or VG if it's not a direct install to m-lok. Like everything else, it is constructed as 6061 aluminum and it is hard coat anodized. Guys, this weighs almost nothing. It comes in at 5 ounces. Midwest Industries does offer this rail with an optional end cap here, so you can run an internal weapon light, which is really cool. They also offer this rail in a couple of color options. We have black, as you see here, and they also have a flat dark earth version. And as you guessed it, it's made right here in the USA, and it does come with a full lifetime warranty. But let's get right into the install. Like the ejection port cover, they do include some instructions, so that's nice. Number 1 says make sure your weapon is unloaded and safe. We did that. We removed the bolt already. We're taken care of. Repeat step number 1. Remove the 2 screws here that hold the handguard on. Unhinge the handguard by pulling it down from the front. Remove the small m-lok rail section with provided wrench. Install the MI handguard starting with the rear working to the front. Make sure to engage the rear underguard tang like the factory unit. Reinstall the 2 screws. Enjoy. And if you have any questions, it says to give them a call. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to use a flathead that I used earlier, and I'm just going to skip this actual part because this is pretty boring, just taking the screws off. So there's one on this side, there's one on the other side. I'll take them both off and we'll be right back. Alright guys, so we went ahead and removed the 2 screws. Like I said, there's one on each side. I'm just going to move this out of the way just real quick. And all this is going to do is, they said pull it from the front, it's going to pivot. And it has a tang here, just like the Midwest Industries rail does. So that is all done, that's taken care of, it's out of the way. Now that rail's already removed, but we're going to reuse that tang just like the factory piece. We're going to slide it into place. We're going to pop it on up, and that's all she wrote. All we have to do now is, it's down a little bit, is tighten these screws that were on the factory rifle on both sides, and we're pretty much set to go. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll finish this thing up. Alright guys, so we got the 2 screws reinstalled, tightened down, and as you can see it's installed. That thing really couldn't have been any easier to do. Now with the m-lok, that allows you to buy one of Magpul's m-lok AFGs and direct mount it to your Tavor and have 0 Picatinny rail pieces to add depth to the handguard, also to add weight. So as you can see, you can direct install that. It's really sharp, it's really clean. There is kind of a catch with this. I was curious, so I'm glad I got this to tell you guys if you guys are watching for this reason. There's only 2 m-lok rail sections down here at the bottom of the Midwest Industries handguard rail. That only allows you to install the AFG as you saw me doing it, just like this. You cannot move it back or in the middle because the way m-lok works is you have these locking cam pieces and these 2 plastic nubs that have to also index the m-lok dashes. So the thing's going to pretty much line up just like that. As you see, everything lines up. So you can't move it back because back here it runs out of rail space. So that is going to be the only way to install this sucker, is just like that. Another option is using the Picatinny rail section that they provided. Install that to the handguard and then install a vertical grip or something, whatever you want to do. So you do have options with the m-lok rail. Alright guys, that about wraps it up. As you can see, we have all the parts from Midwest Industries installed on the Tavor here. All of these were super easy to install. I will admit that the backer plate for the ejection port cover was a tad tricky, but in the grand scheme of things, of all the parts I've installed in all my guns, piece of cake, not an issue whatsoever. We also have the riser rail. Like I said before, it still lets us retain our factory backup iron sights. Now, right now, the Strikefire 2 is mounted to a lower 1/3 mount provided by Vortex Optics. And I will tell you guys, for those of you who are curious, with the riser and the lower 1/3 mount, you can still see your iron sights. I'm not sure if technically it's 1/3 co-witness, but you still can see them through your red dot, so that's cool. Lastly, we have the Midwest Industries handguard. As you guys can see, direct replacement install, not hard to do at all. I'm running a Tabco stubby vertical grip at the moment because I'm saving the Magpul m-lok AFG for my lightweight billet build I just finished. That's why I bought this. The only thing I might change about this is I might get Magpul's vertical grip that directly mounts to m-lok just to forego that Picatinny rail piece. But right now, this thing just feels amazing. I'm never going to grab a vertical grip like this, guys. Just so you know, this is my version of a angled grip. It just helps me get the same spot. So this feels really nice. I'm really looking forward to go out and testing these parts and then giving you guys a full review when it's all said and done. But I don't see how these can disappoint me. This is really going to make this a more functional, just a fun shooting rifle. So, guys, that about wraps it up. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button down below. If you guys haven't, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. As usual, guys, take care, stay safe. We'll see you next time. Nailed it. Yeehaw!